Thank you for joining in for yet another day. People who are joining us on our social channels, I request you to click on the chat section and join us live directly on Zoom. Right. So people who can find the link to the session on Zoom chat. Thanks for joining in. People who are let me share the link to Zoom session once again here. Great. Okay. So let's begin, and let me share an update. Great. Amazing. Thanks everyone for joining in. Okay, so let's begin. And as we have already seen, the way we proceed with our program is with our exercise. Yeah, so the exercise of the Ho'oponopono technique. So people who are joining us for the first time, the Ho'oponopono technique is a technique, Hawaiian technique, which helps in clearing the self-doubt and negativity within ourselves and around. So this technique requires us to, say these statements out loud, which are high energy and high vibration statements, which are, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. And we would be stating these statements, talking to our own self, right? So I would request you to be in a focused environment, right? And close your eyes. People who are joining us for the first time, please try to say these statements out loud so that you will take the maximum benefit out of this. Okay. So I request you to close your eyes. I'd be taking my name during this technique, the Ho'oponopono technique. I would say Sachi and you'd be saying your name. It's Rahul, you'll say Rahul. Okay. Okay. Close your eyes. Put your hand on your heart. Relax your breath. Relax your eyes. Relax your cheeks. Relax your shoulders. Relax your back. Relax your feet. Let's begin. I'm really sorry, dear Sachi. Here you'll be taking your name. I'm really sorry, dear Sachi, for not taking care of you. I'm so sorry for disconnecting with you. I'm so sorry for leaving you alone. I am the one who judges you so much. I am the one who criticizes you so much. Please forgive me, dear Sachi, for underestimating you. Please forgive me, dear Sachi, for not taking care of you. Thank you, dear Sachi, for letting me have this beautiful experience of life. Thank you so much. I know that I have not said this enough. I love you, and I promise you from now on, I'm here and I would never let you go again. Put your hands together and put that energy to your face. Take a deep breath. Okay. So now give me one word in the chat box stating the result that you had before and after this particular exercise. If you are joining us for the first time, people who are joining us on our social channels like YouTube, you can use the comment section to share your result. One word. Yeah, so we have Vijay who says relaxing, calm, Ram Prakash says comfortable. A very good evening, Ahmed. And says good. Okay. Thank you so much. Thanks, everyone. So let's begin with our exercise. I will be sharing the link here. So we have covered yesterday loops and functions. Today we are going to cover a little bit more about lists. Okay, great. So here is the link to the session. Okay. So I would request you to, switch to your desktop if you have both mobile and desktop. People can even use their mobile phones, but desktop would be a better experience. Oh, great. So let me share my screen. Okay, people watching us on our social channels, here is the link. Vasu sir says unable to connect. Yeah, I think the link is working fine, sir, but let me share with you the link again here. Okay, hope that helps. Great. Okay, so let me share my screen. So how many of you have attended yesterday's conditionals and functions, right? If you haven't attended yesterday, type me in the chat box. Thanks, Anand. Thanks, Ram Prakash. Thanks, Ahmad. Thanks, Vandana. Thanks, Alok. Great. I hope you're able to see my screen. You're able to see my screen. Type S in the chat box.
Right, sir.
Yeah, okay. Thank you so much. Great. So now if we go forward, you'll be able to see that we learn by exercise, right? So we would be starting with our first exercise. Earlier, we have seen yesterday conditionals and functions, where we gave a little thinking ability to Python, where we have created a score grader. Now today, we are going to create a list, right? So this is also a type of variable. Like if you remember, we have created a variable name. It could be anything. Sometimes we have created score. Sometimes we have created count, and many times like that. So today we are creating one variable. The name of the variable is family, and we are going to we can define various different types of values to it. So here I'm going to give a new type of value in it. Instead of directly giving double quotes, here what I'm doing, I'm giving square brackets and giving multiple strings with a comma between them, right? So what does that mean? Means instead of just saving one particular string, I'm saving 3 strings in this. Okay. Is my screen not visible? Okay. Is my screen visible now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. Thank you so much. Right. So now you can see that we have created a variable, and instead of giving it one string, we are giving it a set of 3 strings by using square brackets. Now, what happens here is this is called a list. If I'm going to print family, print in bracket, say family, and when I run it, it is going to print the members in that particular list. Okay, so this is lists, and we can do a lot of things with lists. We can even have numbers in lists. So first, let us do one exercise. Okay, So from the exercise, I'm going to, take one of the condition here. What we are doing here is, if here we are using one function which is called length, len, right? So first let's try to understand what is length. Length of family means it will give length. Okay, so I'm going to say print length of family. Okay, so we have 3 members in that list, so it is going to say 3. Okay, you can give any names. Let's just say John, Ron, Vijay. Okay, so you can give any particular names. Okay, it is the length is the same. Okay, now what I'm going to say, because the length is greater than 0, meaning there are items in that particular list, then we say print. There is some space given to the print statement, which is called the indentation. We are saying print the first person will be the mom, let's just say. Okay, so we're saying sweet mom is family of 0, right? Which here family of 0 means 0th item is the first item, 1, 2. So 0, 1, 2 get printed here. Sweet mom is, then the operator will take the string that is there in the 0th index. So now this is called index. Now 0th place in lists, we have the list not starting from 1, 2, 3. It starts from 0, 1, 2. Okay, so it will first print family of 0. Okay, so let me remove it. First, let's try to print this. Okay, so it printed sweet mom is John. Okay, so let's just say whatever is there in the first item, it will print, right? So how many of you understood you can access the item of that particular list by giving the number of the position, right? So if you understood that, I view the chat box. Okay, so if I'm going to say instead of 0, I'm going to say 1. I'm going to say nice to see you, sir. Thank you, Ahmed. So if I'm going to say family of 1, so it is going to print sweet mom is Ron. So right now here it is mom Ron, right? So it will say, so if I am going to say 2, it is going to print the third item here. Okay, so here we are going to say print 0. And if you see the other statements in the exercise, you can say here caring dad is family of 1, the second item, then elder one is 2, which is the third item, right? If I'm going to run it, so we'll see, did we run into an error? Okay, so here instead of a square bracket, I have given a curly brace. Yes, now you can see the sweet mom is Ron, caring dad is Ron, elder one is Vijay, right? So what we wanted to show here is you can identify one particular item of a member of a list by using this notation where you write the name of the list and write the number of that position. And the positions start from 0. The position is called index, right? So how many of you understood the exercise 1? If you understood exercise 1, type U in the chat box. Thank you so much, Amal. Thank you, Vishal. People who are joining us on our social channels, many who have joined on social channels, you can type your comments in the comment section. Thank you so much, Anand. Thank you, Spandana. Okay. So what we can do next is go to our second exercise. What we are doing here is, now that we have understood a list, right? We are going to, I hope you have taken the screenshot so that you can put it on the group. Now, what I'm going to do here is, I'm going to say family.append Sachi. So what happens here is, when you say dot append and write the name of the list, it is going to add to the end. Append is in a way add to the end. So it is going to add to the end. Okay, so I'm going to run this. Okay, so I'm going to first print. Okay, now let's print the length of the family. Let's see one more member got added and see the list, current list now. Okay, so now you can see that the length of the family is 4. Now the list of family consists of John, Ron, Vijay, and Sachi. Right. So how many of you understood append function? Type U in the chat. Great. Thank you, Sunita. Thank you, Alok. Thank you, Anand. Thank you, Spandana. That's great. Thank you, Vasu sir. Okay, Ahmed. So basically, for example, if you see this particular function, there is 2 ways to add another member to it, right? I can just say comma and say Sachi. Now, how many members the list has? 4 members, right? But let's just say now if I run, if I print family, I'll have 4 people. Okay. But if at all I want to add another member without going and manually changing the list, how do I do that? I'm going to say use family.append and here write new name. Okay, so I'm going to say Simi. Okay, so if I'm going to say Simi, so this particular element now gets added here and that gets printed in the family. So this is basically how to add a member to a list. Okay, so you can see that a new member has been added to the list called family, right? I hope that clears your question, Ahmed. Okay. Okay, so we have understood append. Yeah, thank you so much, Ahmed. Now, what we are going to do here is how do we update? Now we have understood how to add a member. Now, what I'm going to see is I don't want the name as Sachi. I want it to be the full name. Let's just say Sabyasachi. So how do you update that? You go here and say the index, right? So you can say family at 3, meaning 0, 1, 2, 3. Now the third member is Sachi and equal to Sabyasachi means you will be changing Sachi to this new value that you are giving, right? So I'm going to print family once again. So this is how you update one particular member. Okay, so I'm going to run it. You can see that here earlier it was Sachi, now it has become the Sabyasachi, right? So that is how you update any particular member of list, right? So that is how you update. And if at all you want to just get a slice of that particular list, I mean, you want to, instead of accessing one member, you want to access more members. So how do you do that? Let me remove this. Here I'm going to say parents, we are creating a new variable and saying this new variable will have 0 to 2. 0 to 2 means 0 and 1, right? So the number 2 will not be included in that particular list. It will take from 0 and 1, 0, 1, and it will slice that particular, take that slice and add it to the parents variable, right? If I'm going to print parents, it will have 0 to 2, meaning 0 and 1 in that particular list. Okay, so I'm going to print parents. So if you see, you have printed John and Ron, and John and Ron are a slice of the list family. And how did we slice? We have used this notation 0 to 2. Okay, so that is how this works, right? So how many of you understood how do we slice or update any particular member? If you understood, type U in. Thank you so much, Alok. Thank you, Vijay. People who are joining us on the social channels, you can use the comment section. Thank you so much, Vasu sir. Okay, so let us just have another slice of the same list.
I'm going to say there's another variable siblings we have created, and we are saying 2, we have left the second number here empty, which means all the people who are from index 2 till the end of it, save them, you pick that slice and save it to the variable siblings. Okay, then you can print siblings. Okay, so I'm going to print this particular list. Now you can see that the member which is second, third, and fourth here 0, 1, 2, 3, and we have added another member Sachi. Those all of these got saved into siblings, and that we have printed. I hope that clears the slicing portion of lists, right? So you can access either by index, let's just say family. If you just give one particular index, it is going to so if I'm going to print it here, you can see that one particular member can be accessed by one index. And if you want to access more members, you can say 0 to 2 or 0 to 3, and it will, pick more members, pick that slice, and save it in the variable. So I hope this particular portion of how to operate on lists is clear. Right? If it is clear, type C in the chat box. Great. Thank you, Vijay. Thank you, Vishal. Okay. So now just let's make another list of numbers instead of strings. Okay, so I'm going to clear this. Hope you've taken screenshot of your program run, right? So that you can put it on the group. Now I'm pasting another list. In this list, this is numbers. There's no double quotes here. So if you put double quotes, it will become a string. If you do not have the double quotes, it will become a list of numbers. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say, I'm printing, say, adding the numbers at indices 0 and 2. Okay, so the number 0 is basically the number at 0 is 5, and the number at 2 is 7. Okay, so it will do 5 plus 7, and if I'm going to run it, you can see that the adding the numbers at indices 0 and 2 is 12. Okay, so you have done a little operation on list, and you are accessed by index. Okay, so let us do one more operation, which says multiplying the numbers at indices 1 and 3. 1 is 6 and 3 is 8. Okay, 0, 1, 2, 3. 1 and 3. So 6 into 8, 8, 6 are 48. So you'll get the 48 here. Right? So how many of you understood this particular example of lists, and the list is numbers list? If you understood this, type U in the chat box. Thank you so much, Alok. Thank you, Rohit. Thanks to all the people who are putting comments on LinkedIn. Thank you, Kanan. Thanks, Roshni. Okay, Spandana. So basically, now we have, let me first remove these print statements. Now what we are trying to do here is, there are two numbers. One is the list, which is 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. Now the list is identified as, the first member is 0, 1, 2, and 3 positions, right? So this is indexes. Okay, so these are the index. So at 0 we have 5. At 1 we have 6. At 2 we have 7. At 3 we have 8. Okay, so is that clear, Spandana? So we have these 4 numbers here. Now what we are trying to do is, let's just try to check if that is true. I'm going to print number
at 0, right? So I'm going to first print the number at 0. It says 5. So you know that numbers at 0 in the list numbers, the 0th item is 5. Okay, so our assumption was right? If I'm going to say the number at 2, meaning 0, 1, 2. At 2 we have 7, right? If I'm going to run it, it will give me 7. Okay, so now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say this number 0 plus number 2, which will be in a way 5 plus 7. Okay, so I'm going to print this particular output here. If I print it, it will be giving me 12. So I hope this was clear, Spandana, right? So you can do operations on list members, right? Thank you for the question. I hope that was clear. So now that we've understood how to operate on list of strings, how to operate on list of numbers. Thank you so much, Spandana. We'll move forward into the concept of loops. So before that, if list is clear, type C in the chat box. Okay, thank you, Vijay. Thank you, Rohit. Thank you, Saujanya. Okay, so lists is clear. Now, thank you, Bharti. Now what we are going to do, thank you, Alok. We are going to do loops, right? So this would be one of our primary topics. You will use loops a little often only. So we'll understand two types of loop. One is while and one is for loop. And earlier we've understood if conditional, right? So there is some limitation that we have with conditionals. With loops, we can do something called repetitive logic. Okay, so the name loops also says that, right? So what we are doing here is first, we'll go line by line. Now we have created a variable and said it is count, and we have given the value 0. And we are saying if count is less than 5, like if you remember in this grader function, score is less than something, print something, right? So if count is less than 5, print hello, I am an if statement, and the count is comma, whatever is there in the count. Okay, so this is one way to print. You can say comma, and whatever is there in count, you can write next, and it will print count there. Okay, so I'm going to run it. Now it said, if I am an if statement, the count is 0, because we said the count is 0, right? Here, what happened is you can only run this once. Now, if the exercise says use while to print count 5 times. Okay, so we want count 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? We want 5 times. So now how do we do that? One way to do is, okay, you go ahead and print count 5 times. Okay, so if I do this, what do you think the result would be? I had to write count 5 times, and every time the count will be 0 only. If I run this, okay, so let me first indent it properly. If I run it, so it says 5 times I am an if statement, but the count is 0. Instead of writing so much, can we do something and automate this? Can we do something like a loop? So that is where loops come into picture. And we are going to use this single statement, which says while, instead of if, it says while count is less than 5. While the count is less than 5, print hello, I am a while, and the count is whatever is there in the count. So now first time it will be 0. Then what we are doing is within the same while block, right? So within the same while block, we are saying count plus equal to 1. Count plus equal to 1 means count equal to count plus 1. So it is the same thing, right? So we are increasing the count by 1. Okay. So now what happens is, first it will run, it will increase the count, and it will come back and check if the count is still less than 5. If it is less than 5, then it will print the new count, and it will increment this particular use is called increment. It will increment the count once again, and it will print 3. So let us try to run this. Okay, so now if you see, hello, I am a while, and the count is 0 first time, then it incremented by 1, then it checked again. If does not check again, if says I'm done, okay, it's finished. While says, okay, let me keep checking because the condition is still true. So it says count is when 1 is less than 5, 2 is less than 5, 3 is less than 5, it will print. 4 is less than 5, it will print. 5 less than 5 becomes false because 5 is equal to 5, right? 5 is not less than 5. So that is when the loop ends, and you will you'll not be able, the while will not print after the condition becomes false, right? So how many of you understood the concept of loop and the while loop, where you can do something in a repetitive fashion, right? If you understood this, type U in the chat box. Thank you, Ahmad. Thank you, Abdul. Thanks, Vijay. Thanks, Anand. That's great, right? So we've understood while statement, and thanks, Kanan. So what do we do now? We've understood the while loop. We have used while to print count 5 times. Kudos, great. Now we are going to do one another statement which says print square of a number from 1 to 10. Okay. So I'm first going to come here. You take a screenshot of the program run so that you can put it on the group. I'm going to remove it here, and I'm going to do a new loop. Okay. So let me remove these comments. So it becomes easy. Right? Looks neat. Now here we have created a new variable number num instead of the count. So this is a counter. So num plus equal to 1 is same as, you can even keep it like that. You can say num plus 1. So number is getting incremented. So what we are saying is the first number will be 1, and while number is less than or equal to 10. So you need to put this colon here. While number is less than equal to 10, then you print number into number. What do you want? The statement says square of a number has to be printed, right? So number into number gets printed and it gets incremented. So this happens every time. So if I run this, so you can see that we have run first number was 1 into 1, 1, then incremented 2, number is 2, 2 into 2, 4, 3 3s are 9, and 10 10s are 100. So square of every number got printed in this loop, right? So the other way to do it is print 1 into 1, print 2 into 2, right? So which is a better option, right? The loop option or manually doing it, which is a better option? Obviously the loop, right? Thank you so much. So here you can reduce a lot of number of statements. Now I said 10 because you can even, some people can still say, okay, I'll print it separately. If I say you need, while number is less than 50, you want to run a loop, it's a very big calculation, right? So you'll not be able to do it manually also. And in a second, you're able to get the square of each and every number in a sequence. After 100, see, you went 11 square, 12 square, and you went till 50 square. Okay. So that is how loops is very helpful in doing repetitive logic. So how many of you understood loop, the while loop clearly? Type U in the chat box.
Thanks, Alok. Thanks, Anand. Thanks, Ram. Thanks, Pandana. I hope you are also parallelly running these, not just listening. This is the best way to register something is run it, try it, experiment it. Thank you, Bharti. Thank you, Kanan. Great. So now we have understood loop. Now there is even a better loop where you do not have to write this number, update number every time, right? So you can use another loop, which is the for loop, where you even need not to have this number equal to 1 every time, right? So what is that loop? For loop. Now we'll understand for loop here. At the same exercise, what we will do is we'll come here, put up the loop here. I'm going to remove the comments. Okay. So first we have created a list. List we have learned here, right? So where here? So here 5, 6, 7, 8 was a list. Here we have created another list numbers saying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Now if you run it, you have created a list of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Next step. Now we want to have square of every number. So what do? You write something called for. Here num equal to 1 that you are writing. Here num you can directly write here and say in numbers. So what it will do is it will pick every number one after the other. Like in while loop, it had to increment, right? Here it will automatically increment and take the next number in that particular list, right? So here we are giving a space here and saying print. Don't print like that, print with the brackets. Okay, so that will give an error. So here we are printing number into number. So instead of writing number equal to 1, you are having number here, and the list here will start from 1 and will go to 5. If I run it, you can see that first time it ran 1 in it took 1 as num and 1 into 1 it printed. Then it took 2, then printed 2 into 2, went till 5 into 5. Okay. So how many of you think this becomes a little easy to remember, right? If you think this is easy, type E in the chat box. Yes, thanks, Anand. Thanks, Kanan. Thanks, Manan. Now, for loop, you have reduced 2 steps, incrementing step and the variable definition step. Now, we can even remove these two. Yes, we can, instead of Ram Prakash, instead of while loop, we can use for loop. Completely, you can do that. Okay? Thank you so much, Vasu sir. Thank you, Bharti. So now what we are going to do here is, we are removing these numbers also. There is a better way to use this list. What we are doing is, here there was a list. Instead of list, we are using this option called range. Okay. So now what range does is, I'm removing numbers. I'm saying range 1 to 6. So what it will do, first for will start. It will take 1, then it will take 2, 3, 4, 5. It will not take 6. So the last number, it says like 1 element before 6. So like if you say 6 minus 1, till 6 minus 1, it will go. So if I do this, if I run this, it will first take 1 square, then 2 square, and it will go till 5. So the 5, this end element, the end is excluded, right? It's not included in the range. So if I run it, it is going to run from 1 till 25, right? Same output you have received. Here, you can even bypass these creation of a list also by using range. So by that, we've also understood there is something called a range, where using range, you will be able to create a list from the start to the end. Okay. So how many of you understood range here?
by view in the chat box. Thank you, Abdul. Thank you, Alam. Now, what you can do is you can give any kind of range. Thank you, Vasu. Thank you, Ram. So you can say, I can say instead of 1 to 6, I can say 1 to 10. Okay, so 1 to 10 means it will go from 1 to 9. If I say 1 to 11, it will go from 1 to 10. If I run it, it will print from 1 to 10. Okay, so if I'm going to say 21, it will go from 1 till 20, 22, 20 into 20. Here, the benefit is you can even change the first element. Instead of saying 1, you can say 10 to 21, 10 comma 21. You can say run it. So it will run from 100. Where is it? Okay, it will run from 10 into 10 till 20, right? Yeah. So I think Abdul, if at all you want to only do odd numbers, I think that is also there. So for that, what I'll do is I'll explain range here. Okay. So for some time, let us comment these for loop. We'll come back. Okay, so we are not defining numbers anywhere, Vasu sir, because range is a function which automatically generates a range of numbers. So when we say for num, so this num variable will take one element from whatever range that is getting generated. Okay, so let me explain the range here so it will become easier for you. Okay, so I will come here. Let's say we have a range. Okay, I'm going to print a range of 10 to 21. Okay, if I'm going to print, let's just say 10 to 16. If I'm going to run it, okay, so it's printed like that. First, let me print it in this particular. Okay, so I'm creating a variable A. I'm trying to print A. Okay, I hope here you are able to create a range. You're not able to print the range in this particular compiler, but what it does is it creates all the numbers from 0, the first element to the last element, right? So that is how it gets printed. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to directly show you in the for loop only, because this compiler is not letting us print the range. Okay, so if at all you say from 1 to 10, it will go from 1 till 9, one number less. Okay, so instead of printing number into number, I'm going to print number. Okay, so that you'll understand what is there in the range. Okay, so now you see you have printed from 1 to 9. Okay, that is clear. If at all I say from 5 to 10, it will print from 5 to 9. Okay, so that is also clear. If at all I say print from 1 to 10 and I say 1, okay, I'm going to give I'm going to say 2 here, which is called the step. So what it will do is it will skip the second number every time. So this is called step. So num, Vasu sir asked if num is a predefined variable. So in for loop, whenever you write a variable name here, it will automatically get defined then and there, and it will take every element in the range. So it is auto defined at that moment only. So instead of num, you can say just I'm just saying the name of the variable as Vasu sir. Could be anything. It could be my name. It could be anyone. right? So it will still have the same output. So this variable is getting created at that moment, right? So I'm going to say Sachi. So the name of the variable can be different. The num is not a specific set defined thing that you have to use. You can use count, right? So you can say count in range. So it will start from one element each, right? So what we are trying to do here is first try to print everything from 1 to 11. Yeah. So now you can see that it printed from 1 to 10. Okay. So we are coming to question of Abdul. If at all we want to print alternative numbers, you can give something called step in the third parameter. If we say 2, what it will do? It will skip one element every time. So let me run this. So now you can see it printed 1, then it skipped another element, then it printed 2, then 3, then skipped another element, 5, another, and 9. So if I say 3, it will take every third number. So this is called the step. 1, then 2 and 3 are skipped, then 4, then the next two numbers are skipped, then 7. So this is called the step. So how to understand this? You can remember this like start, stop, step. So this is called the step. So if at all you want to print only the odd numbers, right? So Abdul, if your question is to print square of every odd number, first we'll print all numbers. So here all odd numbers are coming. You can now say count into count, and you will have all your odd numbers printed. I hope that answers your question. Yes, Abdul says C, clear. Okay, so we have understood for loop by a little exercise. Just to summarize, here either you can have a list, here you can have a range of numbers, or directly the list of numbers, right? So like we had in the numbers point, here you can have any name for the counter or the variable, and then here you can write your, right? So I hope this clarifies everyone's questions, and we have covered lists and loops both. So thank you so much for being here patiently, trying to learn and understand, and ask questions and interact. Thank you so much, everyone. So people who have joined for the first time, we have our graduation day where we'll be talking more about Python in general, how it could be more and more valuable for you. This particular 5 days program is helpful in giving you confidence that Python, if you give time, is not tough, right? So this particular sessions are absolutely free. But if at all you are serious and want to take your career into the direction of data science or AI, I would request you to join our masterclass that we do on Saturdays. We have also mentioned about our Saturday session. So let me share the link. How many would want to know how they can get benefited out of AI? How they can join this AI stream? Type me in the chat box. How can they make a career in AI? Thanks, Anand. Thanks, Vandana. Thanks, Ahmed. Right. So I'm going to give the link to tomorrow. Thank you, Bharti. Tomorrow's masterclass. Give me a moment. Okay, the link will be here. Yes, share the link on the chat, and people who are joining us on YouTube, sharing the link for you. So I request you to register for the session. And this will be helpful in learning more and more about AI and how you can build a career in data science and achieve salaries which start from 7 LPA, 8 LPA, 9 LPA, 15 LPA. And if at all you go from data science to machine learning, how you can, if you are already aware about data science, if you want to upskill further into machine learning and aim for higher salaries, all that is covered and you'll know a clear path of how to go forward, right? So I'm also sharing the link for registering to the masterclass that happens tomorrow at 7 p.m. on Zoom chat as well. Thank you, Chetna. Thank you, Priyanka. Thanks, Ankit. That's great. Amazing. It was really nice having you. So till loops, most of it is covered. And tomorrow, I hope you can directly join the masterclass. We'll resume our session directly post the session. Okay, so you'll have the update on the group itself. Thank you so much, Spandana. Thank you so much. Great. So go ahead and share your screenshots on the group. And if you have any question, you can always reach out. Shivam asks, can you send me the Zoom link, please? So if you click on the link that is shared here, Shivam, you will see a button. It says click to register on Zoom. Right? So on the same button, you can have the link to register. Okay. So even Vasu sir, yes, sir. So you can click on this link and you'll be able to see a blue button which says click to register on Zoom. I hope you are able to access it. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. So we'll see each other in our next session. The updates will be there on the group. People who are joining us on YouTube, I request you to click on the WhatsApp link that is there in the description, where you can directly join our group. The group is almost full, and you can check if you are able to join in. If you are able to join in, you will see all the updates being posted here. You can even share your assignments and interact there directly with us. Thank you so much, everyone, and have a great rest of the day. Looking forward to see you in the masterclass tomorrow. Thanks, Vishnu. Thanks. Thanks, Rachna. Thanks, everyone.